Hello, Kinsey.
Oh, Pierce, I've lived my whole life waiting to hear you say that.
Uh, well, there you go. I've said it now. Look at you, looking lovely there with your heart and your flowers and everything.
I would just have you narrate my life. I just love the sound of your voice.
Well, it's taken me a while to love the sound of my voice, believe it or not. But there you go. It's my voice, and I don't have any other voice but this voice. But I'm glad to be talking to you about false positive.
Absolutely. Congratulations on the movie. I enjoyed it. I was wondering, how did you get involved? Because I've never seen you in a role like this.
Elena called me up, sent it to my agent, John Lee, the director who wrote it with Elena. I guess they thought I would be good to play Dr. Handel, who's this rather charming and uh, very groomed character, which I've done throughout my career and which I've built a career on. So you take that kind of role playing, which I've done a lot of and made a career of in some respects, and then you skewer it with horror. It's a horror story about the true horror of what happens in our society, what has happened in our society with a certain strata of fertility doctors, men, taking and making, creating calamity in women's lives, uh, creating families that are not true to them, and just the horror of what they'd done was quite enlightening. So I thought we could. I said yes to it. I thought it was a well-written script. And I liked John Lee's work and the work of Elena I'd seen, and I'd watched her career blossom here and the following that she had. And I really enjoy the world of independent filmmaking. I thought this piece had a voice. I thought it had character, style, and entertainment value. A24, who made the movie, they do great work with films like Midsommar or Hereditary. And this line of horror movie now is quite fascinating to see, taking taking advantage of true life stories and making them into a film.
I want to know what it's like to work with Pierce because he's not only iconic, but he seems like a really good human being. I mean, he's a great actor, but he seems like he's got a good heart.
That's the great thing about Pierce is he's both really kind and warm, and then he's also tall and handsome. So it just makes you hate him, because he's like kind of perfect. You're like, how does someone like that exist in the world? Everyone else just seems like we're like trolls around Pierce Brosnan. And then his skills of an actor is so great. Like, his ability to like play this character in all the right ways, and his willingness to play this character as a white man to show and reflect the kind of like evilness of white men. For him to do that, we were really appreciative. Alana and I were always just like, how do we thank him? Because that's a lot to participate in, is your own criticism.
You sent him a jelly of the month, year supply as a thank you. It is interesting because I honestly can say I've never seen him in a role like this before. But I was told not to give too much away, so I'm trying to be careful in my questions. While watching this movie, there were several times where I thought, I've seen that 2020 and I've seen that 2020.
For sure.
Was anything loosely inspired by some of these
Yes.
crazy real life events?
The moment at the end of the movie when Pierce walks in for their final confrontation and he's holding a little vial, that is based on a real doctor who would, the women, the mom to be and the husband in this case, kept going to the fertility clinic, and a nurse noticed that the doctor kept going to the bathroom right before, and then he would go and inseminate them. And so that little vial is little bits of Pierce, and then he puts it in the freezer. So that's all based on real, I did a lot of research, like reading about the doctors and like doing all those stuff because, the truth is always right in front of us. We just either choose to ignore it or we culturally just deny it. And so I wanted to include as much reality for his character and for him as possible. And I think he understood that level of detail really helped the character, because that's really, It's tragically creepy.
Right. No, absolutely. And it wasn't just that instance. There were a couple of different times where I thought, God, this sounds so familiar. So how exciting that this stuff is so loosely based. I also wanted to know, how would you categorize this? What genre is this? Because there's
Yeah,
a
that's a tough question. I spent a lot of time during the edit, during some of the downtime, thinking of it. And the phrases I came up with were psychological satire. And the phrase that I like to use a lot is nervous laughter. You know, it's that feeling of when you're about to ride a roller coaster. Some people scream. I laugh when I'm on a roller coaster. And it's that kind of like, how do you live your life, you know, during these times of tension? And so Alana and I, during the writing process, were constantly like trying to out joke each other with kind of creepy tension. And so that kind of is reflective throughout the movie. And it's not quite a genre because it is both funny, but it's kind of sad, you know, in many ways, because it's based on truth. And, you know, because we don't really care about healthcare in our society so much, or supporting women during the birth process. So like, you know, that needs to be talked about a little bit.
I mean, seriously, you went there. I'm loving it. I struggled too with Justin's character because she kept having these moments of you know, uncertainty, and he would come right back in and just be wow. And I thought, I mean, that's brilliant, the way that that has to be a mixture of writing and acting, you know?
For sure. Yeah, it's all in the writing. And Justin, who I've known for 15 years, totally understood my tone. He's known all my work before, and we've been fans of each other. So he understood all of that ability of like, you know, sometimes men aren't evil. They just don't realize they're evil. You know, their intentions aren't supposed to be evil, but they don't actually realize there's these tiny things. Like, instead of saying like, hey, you're having difficulty, let's talk about it, they just say, mommy brain. You know, instead of actually talking about something real, they just dismiss it and infantilize women. And so I really wanted to not make him so overtly evil, but this person who his intentions might be right, but he just doesn't know actually how to address it or how to adjust his own life to be a good partner.
When I told my family I was interviewing you, because I was excited, it was so funny to me that everybody gave me a different, everybody said, my uncle said, we were just watching him and Mrs. Doubtfire. I thought my dad was going to go the James Bond route, but apparently he's a huge Mamma Mia fan. God bless him. My mom saying she watched you in the show, The Son. I mean, everybody's got a you that they love, that they picture, that they favor. Your career's not defined by one role. Do you have a favorite though? When you look back on everything, do you have a favorite experience?
Well, every one of them has a place in my heart, because every one of them is a tapestry of my life, a time in my life where, you know, I had to work, or I really wanted to work. And so you give of yourself to every part, every part that you play. You start with your own what if story, if I was this character. But thank you very much. I tried. I was, you know, I came out of an academy with honors for playing many different roles, and I've tried to do that as much as possible. But nevertheless, you do get typecast, and that's fine by me, as long as I get paid, as long as I make a living from it and can support my family. It's fairly straightforward business. But the joy is to try and be an unexpected surprise. The joy is to try and grow as an actor in confidence and relaxation and courage. And it just, you know, the career has just unfurled before me, really. I've made a few plans here and there, but sometimes you can't make plans. You just have to accept the work that's there. Sometimes you have choices as an actor, sometimes you don't. So in this particular case, this was, you know, it was a joy to work with Elena and John, go to New York and make this wonderful movie for A24, whose films I really enjoy.
Well, this was an unexpected surprise in regards to watching you and enjoying your career. Thank you for your time today. And congratulations again. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Great. All the best.
Thank you,
Best
sir.
to your family. Take care.
Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.